Business owners do need to be able to spend time saying, where is the market 1 year, 5 year, 10 year? Any tips or tools there for a leader to develop their ability to predict?
Predict is this is usually the fun one for me, because a lot of people, this is when I'll get eye rolls. I'll get some eye rolling. All right. People can wrap their head around, keep it simple. We've heard that our whole life. And, we should delegate. If you've been in business long enough, you're told that by management. But like the ability to predict, right? It usually gets some eye rolls because, do you know how AI is going to change your business in 2 years? Do you know how AI is going to change it in a year, 6 months? No, right? So people tend to go, well, the future's unpredictable. And when people get in that mode, the human nature is, if I don't know how to do something, it's probably not possible. It probably can't be done. So I ask everyone the simple question, right? Do you know how to build a satellite? No? Do you believe it can be done? Right? So just because you don't know how to do something today doesn't mean it can't be done. And a lot of people get predicting a little bit off. They think they need to be able to crystal ball. So I'm not into 5-year detailed strategic plan roadmaps. I think that's an illusion. We look at prediction in long term and short term. Long term is simply, do you have a set long-term goal? 10 years, where do we want to be? And what's our general plan to get there? That's a long-term vision. To be able to hit that, you need to start bringing it down to the ground. So this is where prediction becomes more and more, there's fidelity involved. So you paint a 3-year picture, right? What do we need to look like in 3 years to be there in 10? And with that, you can say, okay, so what's this year's plan? Right? So each of those steps, right, it becomes a little easier, right? Figuring out what you need to be in 3 years to make it to 10, you can make that leap. Okay, if we have to be here in 3 years, what do I need to get done this year? You make that leap. Now it gets to be real. Now you have a 1-year plan. You know what your profit, your revenue, other key metrics you need to hit. So now ask yourself and your leaders, well, in the next 90 days, what do we really need to accomplish in order to stay on track? Right? So that's part of predicting. Now, 90 days in is short-term predicting. And the key to short-term predicting is dealing with issues. Believe it or not, that's the key. Clever leaders work around issues and they avoid them. They suffer through them. Smart leaders solve them. And the reason is, if you have a known 90-day priority and you have an issue you've been avoiding, it puts that priority at risk. And if you're not tackling that issue, the chances of success of hitting that rock go down. The chances of successfully landing the year go down. And then you tell yourself, well, you're no good at predicting. And that's not true. So when I work with leadership teams, and I'll give you an example. I worked with a leadership team. They had a people issue on the board for 2 straight quarters. And we were setting priorities for the following quarter. And they landed an exciting new contract. Everyone was aligned. It was part of their 1-year plan. So they secured a client in Mexico, and they were heavily tech, right? So they needed their infrastructure to be able to support. And they knew that their current data center was not going to be able to support Mexico with the SLAs in the contract. The issue they had been avoiding is their IT director had been slow playing the migration of the data center. Well, now all of a sudden, that became such a critical issue because it was going to derail the rock that they confronted it and dealt with it. And so think about that. They became better at predicting what was required to be successful on the rock. Then they became better at dealing with the risk that was going to knock the rock off track. At the end of that quarter during review, 4 of the leaders had completed 8 of the 10 rocks they signed up for. And they all said it was the best quarter they ever had in terms of actually saying, I'm going to get it done and getting it done. And then the best part was when we talked about rocks for the following quarter, it was a heated debate, but it was healthy because now people were challenging. Like, what's the risk? Do we have an issue to get that done? Is that the most important thing? Is that rock written smart? And that's predicting. And for me, it's helping people understand, don't think that you need to know exactly what's going to happen 5 years from today. Don't, right? Focus in on what's required this 90 days and get it done. Those build to a successful year, those build to hitting 3-year, and you're on your way.
If you can't predict what you're going to get done in 90 days, you can't predict what you're going to get done in 90 months, right?
100%.
It's really that simple. No, it's a great point.